Yeah, thank you for this great opportunity. Uh, it's a pleasure, it's a joy to share um, to God's people something extremely important for all of us. Let's say a word of prayer and we will begin. Lord, we surrender to you, commit to you every minute, every moment of this hour long session, Lord. Lord, we pray that you will assist, help me, O Lord, by your Holy Spirit, and pray that you will open the hearts and minds of all our dear ones who are listening, so that, Lord, you will change the way we think about money and about giving, savings, and investments. Pray, Lord, that there will be a change, a transformation as we go through this session. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. I'll just quickly share a quick broad guidelines for this session. This won't be a very comprehensive study, obviously. This is only one hour, 1.5 hours, less than that. We'll keep this more practical. There'll be polls taken for some questions. Answer them as honestly as you can. Uh, there will be short quiz before each category of sessions, which should be answered over audio or chat window. You can do that. You can unmute or you can just send messages. To save time, we will questions will be answered at the end of each session. Okay, because it's not a workshop. Uh, with questions, we can get delayed, and there'll be 5 minutes for Q&A. You can post your questions over chat while the session is on, so you don't miss. And I'll answer whenever appropriate. Remember, for some of you, this could be basic, but for some others, it could be new learning. So be patient. Uh, just a reminder. See, what I'm going to do is a shorter session, but we have planned a 3-hour session for the UESI constituency, February 13, 5 to 8 p.m. If you are interested, we'll share more details than today. You can join. Okay, let's get started with spending. So, a quick quiz on spending. Okay, what is the right order of, okay, there is option A, save, spend, give. Option B, give, save, spend. C, D, E, F. Which is the right order? You can post your answers over chat, or you can unmute and just answer them as you wish. So B is the right answer. Okay. You give, you save, and then you spend. Which is the order commonly followed? I think probably it could be D or something else. But yeah, I think a lot of them maybe spending first, then saving and giving, or maybe spend first, give and save. Okay. Experts tell that having two separate bank accounts for spouses is the most efficient way of spending. Example, husband pays bills from his account and a wife invests from her account, or something of that sort. Is it true or false? So this is true or false now. Okay. So as we go along, we'll see. So I won't answer the question now. Spending on tangible possessions, assets is better than on vacations, which are intangible. You can't see vacations, the money is gone. But if you invest in possession, assets, and all, it is good. What's your answer? True or false? Okay, we'll see the answer as we go along. I won't answer now. Uh, Credit card is a no-no for a Christian. What do you think? So that we can all learn. Okay. If using credit card, don't use it for necessities, only for luxury purchases. Okay, somebody's viewing it wisely. Okay. What do you think? You should use it for necessities or luxuries. Okay. Somebody says both. We use it for necessities and luxuries. Okay. Somebody says necessities. Budget is not essential. One can still be careful with expenses. What do you think? Okay, budget is essential. Essential. Okay. Not. Some says not. Some says yes. Okay. Never buy from discount sales. They are a trap. Okay. No, they are not a trap. Okay. We can buy from discount sales. Okay. It's a big trap. $1 billion sales and all that, right? Not all times. Okay. Very glad. I'm very glad that the answers are, you have your own answers. Okay. Your percentage of spending should be less than your percentage of giving. What do you think? This is a very tricky one. Yeah. Okay. So let's get started. Thanks for your cooperation. It would have been nice to hear some voices also, but that's fine. Okay, let's go ahead. But once in a while, I'll just check. Okay, keep check whether you are still there in the session or not. Okay, I can't see anybody. I cannot hear anybody. Right. So I will keep checking. Okay, let's move on. Uh, so where to begin spending from? Where to begin spending from? Remembering God owns our purse. So this is where you begin your spending. God owns our purse. Another very fundamental thing which I think as Christians, my money or our money. You know, a lot of times your money and my money, I will spend this way, I'll spend that way. I believe that is worldly and deceptive. As Christians, families, we cannot have two bank accounts operating independently. There is only one bank account. Even if there are few bank accounts, they should be joint accounts. They should be one, because the Lord says, "So shall a man leave his father and mother and hold fast to his wife, and they shall become one." We are one in every sense. Why there be two accounts? This is very fundamental. I have known families which have begun with two different accounts, my money, your money, and they have actually gone apart. At least I know two families, Christian families, and there are many such families. So this is a lie, a deception. Please beware. If you are doing it, I strongly recommend stop here and now. Have one account. Let all the money be with, into one account where you operate. No my money and your money. Okay. Do not say what is left after spending, but spend what is left after saving. So this is very important. Warren Buffett, a very wise man, wisdom from Warren Buffett. So remember the order. Okay, the order is you first give, set aside your money to give every time you get a salary. Then you save and invest, and then you spend. The order is give, save, and spend. I started with spend first because I believe most of them who are broke, who are bankrupt, who are going through issues, is not because they gave too much. It is not because they did not invest much. They didn't make much money. It is primarily because they spent it very wrongly, badly. That is, so the key to financial freedom is this is the order. And we'll try to cover as much as possible as we go along, right? So, what should be the percentage we spend? Now, what does the world say? According to the popular, uh, you know, 50-30-20 rule, uh, reserve 50% of your budget for essentials like rent and food, 30% for discretionary spending, like for example, your vacation or restaurant or whatever, some sort of, and at least 20% for savings. Now, this is a general rule. Uh, the only problem here is there is no place for giving. So, as Christians, we have to discover this, and later on I'm going to share actually what you could do. uh, the fact is that your spending will always be more than your investment and giving, simply because you have to spend, right? You have to spend for food, for travel, for children's fees, for everything. In fact, most of them spend most of their money. They hardly have anything to invest, because that is what it is. You just think about a poor man, right? So all that you earn you spend basically. But what we are doing is we are taking out something to give and taking out something to invest, and that should be our pattern, and we will see that as we go along, right? Now I'm going to share with you these types of spenders and phases of life. This is still work in progress. I've got to do a little more research on this. I've just categorized them, uh, but by and large it is fine. So let me go through the first one. This is a type of a spender who is irrational. The expenses are more than income. And this is very common in the Western world. Even in India, it is catching up, especially with people who have a lavish lifestyle. I'm sure there is nobody in the EGF like this. Nobody, as I mean, Christians should not be, but of course there are Christians who are. So the reasons are indiscipline, misuse of credit card, living on debt. Phase of life, it could be early in life, or they're newly married. Lot of expenses, you come with the debt, you spend so much on your wedding and all that, right? Long term implications, you're living under debt most part of your life because you are living on borrowed money. You never be able to build assets. There'll be conflicts in the home, family will be stressed, children's education will be affected. You'll be a poor role model to the next generation. This is a type of spender. The second type of spender is hand to mouth spender. A lot of us could fall into this. There was a time when I was early in marriage, we were like this. High living standard of living or expenses, probably. Or maybe they have a lot of EMI to pay, housing loans, etc. Indisciplined spending, or they have low income. And early in life, again, phases, married, they have kids. They're not able to have financial goals, conflict, stress in family. They have to compromise every stage of their lives. Children education, house, other assets get affected because they don't have money. And not a good role model for next generations. It is, you have to come out of this as soon as possible. The number three is confident spender. Feels expenses are in control. They have high income, especially, two of them having, high income, both of them are working. Expectations of inheritance, or maybe started saving early in life, maybe, very good financial planning, but they are confident spender. So these phases could be later on in life, midlife or middle age, when you have actually a lot of money, you see money, you've invested and all. This is not early in life, it can't happen like this. It can affect your financial goals like children education, retirement, because you're confidently spending, and then you may not have, uh, you may not be in debt, but then you have already spent your money. You own possessions of depreciated or no value because you have spent, right? You've got a lot of things. For, house is filled with a lot of things, gadgets, but they may be depreciating value. Next generation doesn't get the correct biblical understanding of money, right? Now, this last one is the conscious spender. Expenses in complete control. Reasons could be disciplined financial planning, maybe retired, maybe there's a job loss. And it phases of any time in your career it can happen, especially later on, and it can happen post retirement. Long term implications, good steward of God's money because they are not spending just because they have the money, very careful about what they're spending. Freedom to give more, they have useful possessions. Next generation gets the right biblical understanding of money. Now, thumb rule for spending, obviously, never spend more than you earn. Okay. So, Thomas Jefferson said, never spend your money before you have earned it. Right. And how to achieve that? You track your expenses and budget your expenses. These two are very important. You have to track. And how budget preparation process. So I'll be a little quick here. We'll not go through details, but how would you prepare your budget? Just go through all your past expenses, because you don't have, if you're starting your family from day one, then you can imagine, okay, how much I'm going to spend on what, how much I'm going to spend on rent, on travel, groceries, uh, maintenance, school fees won't be there, you're newly married, so, and any other insurance premiums, etc. Just list them down. Okay, for those who are already spending, last 3 6 months expenses, credit card, wallet, credit card, is it good? We'll see that. 3 to 6 months bank statement. And then strike off the unwanted expenses, something that you don't want to do it again. Separate the fixed and variable. There are fixed expenses per month, there are variable expenses that are, uh, for example, rent is a fixed, your other things could be variable, your groceries and all, travel could be a little variable. Separate essentials and discretionary spending. Discretionary is what? Maybe going to a restaurant once in a while, maybe going for an outing, right? These are discretionary, something that you can live without. Keep some contingency, 3 to 5%. Decide what is cash, credit card expenses. Differentiate between monthly and non-monthly, right? Very, very important. Monthly expenses are groceries or rent, but then there are some things like premiums or school fees. They're all non-monthly. You must keep them aside so that when it comes, you can pay. Write down the key dates. Okay, so this is very important in your budget preparation process. A budget is telling where your money where is telling your money where to go instead of wondering where it went. Right? So important, so wise. And then the spending process. Set aside and keep your non-monthly expenses in a savings, FD, or a liquid fund. We'll talk about this a little later. Withdraw them when needed, right? Don't just keep them in the savings account, or don't spend it and then you'll have to borrow, right, to actually spend only what is budgeted, right? Spend what is budgeted. For sudden emergency expenses, use emergency fund. We'll come to this in the next session. Resist temptation to make unplanned purchase, impulsive spending. I think very important. These are few things, but very important. Try and budget all your expenses. Track your monthly expenses until you are completely in control of your expenses. Credit card spending, wallet spending, bank transactions, cash transactions. Track your expenses against your budgeted expenses, right? See whether you are in control. This is the way to get your money into control, get your spending into control. And as I said, spending is the most crucial thing. It is not giving and where people falter, or it is not your investments. If people are poorer or people are bankrupt, people are going through difficult times, although they can be better, it is because of your spending. So be careful. It's not your salary that makes you rich, it's your spending habits, right? So do's and don'ts of taking a loan. Now, so take loans only for appreciating assets. Example, house. Don't take loans for depreciating assets or expense like vehicle, TV, etc. Now, if you have taken, it is not that it's a big problem. But the reason why I'm saying this, and many say, is that because um, loans taken for depreciating assets, if at some point you're not able to pay, for example, you lose your job or something happens, then yeah, you still have a large portion of your loans to be paid, but your asset is depreciated. You have taken a loan for probably for 2 lakh rupees, and right now your asset could be 50,000 rupees only. Okay, so it is, but when you take it for our house, even if you're not able to, your house can be always, recover. You can always get that. So that is the reason, right? So what do you do for your existing debt? Do your best to repay the debt, whether it is a house or an asset. Like, this is very important. Use your hikes to increase EMI and prepay the loan. Use bonus to prepay loan, not to buy depreciating assets. Reduce your expenses and investments to prepay the loan. So this is about loans. As I said, it is very important. So if you have taken a loan for depreciating assets other than a house, I would say as soon as possible repay it. Don't keep it. It's not a good idea to have a loan for depreciating assets as far as possible. Thankfully, we have in our marriage, we'll be completing 20 years this month, God willing. We have not, thank God that we never had to take a loan for um, depreciating. Our first one, actually, technically we took, maybe non-technically, not technically, we took it when we wanted a washing machine very badly in Bombay. So my company gave an option. They had given us a bank account where we could overdraw it. So I actually overdrew. That was some 4,500 rupees, some washing machine. So we overdrew it, and I paid it. It came at a very minimal interest, but that was the only time. But otherwise, we have not. So try not to. Housing loans we have taken, and what we have done is I had taken a housing loan of 20 years. I immediately made it 15 after a couple of months. Then I kept on paying, kept on increasing my EMIs, and finally repaid it in 6 years flat. We did not keep it, right? So very important these things, because the Bible says the rich rule over the poor and the borrower is a slave to the lender. So if you borrow, you get stuck, you are you are actually in a very bad position. It's a very bad position to be in. Okay, the rich rule over the poor and the borrower is slave to the lender. So remember that, right? So get out of this. So credit card spending. Now, is credit card something good or bad? Now, uh, I started using credit card even before I got married. That is more than 20 years ago. And after we got married, my wife was never for a credit card. Never. We had arguments about it. Now we spend most of our expenses on credit card and digital, of the wallets and other things. Credit card spending. So now my wife even for groceries or whatever, it's a lot of convenience. There's a lot of convenience, and there are a lot of benefits of a credit card. Just that, remember these things. First, foundational rule, very important. Use your credit card because you have money in your bank, and not because you have a credit card. If you don't have money, don't use a credit card. If you are not disciplined, don't use a credit card. Just cut your credit card and throw it away. Use cash, use UPI, right? You use your wallets, right? But don't use credit card. Only if you are able to have discipline. Preferably have only one credit card. Second one could be a backup. There are people who will ask you for credit cards, free credit cards. So I have two, but I use only one extensively. The other is as a backup. If my the credit card number one gets into a trouble or whatever, I have another credit card. Because a lot of online payments I use credit card. Planned, use credit card for necessities, regular and planned expenses, not for unplanned expenses. So use it for probably at the petrol bunk, for your groceries, for anything that you have money in your bank, right? Use your credit card because credit card is very convenient. It actually gives you all that you have spent. It's like helps you track your budget. It's ready made. You don't have to do anything. It is there. Be mindful of the credit or the payment cycle so you don't take advantage of you take advantage of the credit period. For example, my credit cycle, it ends on 15th. If on 16th I spend, I pay the bill for that, not the next month, the following month, 4th, which means I get more than 1.5 month worth of credit, in the sense my money in my bank earns that much interest. As I said, I have money in my bank, I don't use it, but I use a credit card. So I'm actually getting interest on that. Pay credit card bill in full always. I know there are people who have paid and got into a trap. They only paid the minimum due, which is a crime. Don't do that ever. Always pay in full. Remember your dates. Find out what are the benefits of a credit card. There are a lot of reward points. There are discounts. You get discounts. There are free meals at airport. Actually, I have had so many free meals at airport because of the credit card which I had. My company, when I was working, I had got it. It's really beneficial. We've got a lot of gold also. We've got a lot of gifts also. For many of my wife's friends, we have used the credit card gifts. Once, many years ago, uh, I bought all my pants, shirts, all using the credit card reward points. Simply because we are careful how much we spend, we do not spend on the things that we don't need or luxuries using a credit card. Even if I have to buy something, I ensure and see that there is enough money in the bank. Are we able to afford? Have we budgeted? Then I use a credit card. So credit card is probably just like money. It is neutral. It is the way we use it. It's like a knife. We can use it for cutting it, or we can use it to harm it. A lot of them, especially in the US, they use it to harm themselves. Use it to cut it. So remember this. Credit card is not wrong. It's not bad. But if you're not disciplined, this is not for you. If you buy the things you don't need, you will soon sell the things that you need. This is Warren Buffett, a great wisdom. Now, this is what has happened with many of the people who use credit cards. Okay, we'll try and. So, which fruit of the spirit is important here when you come to spending? Love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self control. Which is the fruit of the spirit, which we all Christians need it in abundance when it comes to spending? Self control? Yes, self control. You're right. Now, not all spending is bad. Spend on building memories versus building assets. Example, vacations. Sometimes as a family, we can take some good, no, not expensive vacations, some nice vacations. We have a lot of memories of our vacations. One of the best vacations was Vizag. We had been as a family. Lovely vacation. And we have built memories. We have built our family. So not all spending is bad. Spend on buying things that will add value to your and your family's spiritual life. Good books. Spend on learning and developing professionally and spiritually. There are online courses. They are not bad and they are very cheap, reasonable. So not all spending is bad. Spending as a couple. Now this is, I'll be a little quick here. Budget. Plan budget together and agree on all things. Agree on all things. Bill payments, not your money and my money. Decide who will do what. That's it. So that we can share each other's burdens so that we don't miss, right? If somebody, one of you is very strong at remembering dates and very very organized, let that person do this. Purchasing from the stores, when shopping in stores, keep each other informed about all the unplanned or major expenses beyond a threshold. Even now, 20 years later, even if I buy a 500 rupees online course, or my wife goes and buys, she calls me up, she sends me a message, I call her up, I tell her. Sometimes if I have done it, I immediately tell her the next day, yeah, I did this, I bought this course for 500 and all. Any big purchases, major purchases, I do not do it without her. I do not do it without telling her. So keep that threshold in your family, whether it is 100, 500, 1000, that agree that beyond this I will tell you. Don't hide from each other. Online purchases, do not purchase online unless you have discussed with each other. Do not take a loan unless you have prayed and discussed together. Do not give to church or ministries unless it is planned and discussed. Teach actively children about money and spending. Let them earn their pocket money by doing some house chores. Teach them. Very important as couples with children, right? And some useful tips quickly. If you don't have to spend, postpone your expenses that month. Say I'll do it next month, or next month, say following month. Repair versus new purchases. There are a lot of times you can repair at a very reasonable cost rather than buying something new. Think about it. Practice delayed gratification, which means I want it right now, or okay, I'll have it later after 6 months. Weigh the pros and cons of premium versus local products. Sometimes local products can be expensive in the long run. So when you're buying some household items, for example, taps or some washing machine or something, anything, get a good one. Don't go for a local and a cheap one. You will have to replace it more often. Track wastages, electricity, water, food. Check your refrigerator. Check your things in the home. Are you wasting it? Beware trap of discount purchases and $1 billion sales days. Don't buy because there is a $1 billion sales day. Buy from the $1 billion sales day because you have already planned something. Then you can take advantage. Wait for this because you've already planned it, right? And then don't opt for postpaid features in wallets. Never. Now, let me just be quick here. There is a book that these two people have written. They have observed lives of wealthy people. Okay, And self-made millionaires establish saving goals early in their lives. Self-made millionaires avoid want spending. I'll not explain. They're all self-made millionaires are frugal. They're not cheap, but they're very careful of what they're spending. Avoid lifestyle creep. That means lifestyle, no, want to impress people. Self-made millionaires make their money invisible, are smart spenders. Their money invisible in the sense they are carefully spending, or they do not show off. They keep their expenses low. They avoid spendthrift friends. Finally, self-made millionaires marry well. So they marry somebody who's also careful. So anyway, I'll just quickly try to wind up this. As Christians, our goal is not to become millionaires here, but there. So what we do is we save so that we spend less so that we can give more or invest more. Now this is a challenge. Reduce spending challenge before we move on to the next topic. Cut down expenses of at least one item or cut down expenses by a certain percentage. How many of you are willing to take this challenge? Reduce your expenses. Cut down at least one item which is not necessary in your life. Maybe at least for a month, for 1 month. Or cut down your expenses by a certain percentage. If you're spending 60% on expenses, cut down by a little percentage. Anybody want to take up this challenge? Because already there are people in all the 4 categories that I shared. So I'm sure by doing this you will try to get into the 4th category. Don't forget. Very important. Okay. Now before we go get into savings and investment, this is also an interesting topic. Any quick questions? We can take 2 or 3 minutes to answer some questions.
Yeah, no, you said that we can use that credit cards. Which credit card is good?
Okay, good question. Look for a credit card which has no annual fees, no joining expenses. That's it. Rest doesn't matter, whatever are the benefits. Choose a credit card which will and obviously they will give you a limit based on your salary and your expenses. They'll give you a 1 lakh, 2 lakh limit or something. And if you're very careful, every time you pay back on time, you pay your bills like your electricity bills or whatever, they will increase your credit limit also. So only go for a credit card which is free. Don't go for any other credit card. Not worth it.
Can you suggest Anna, which bank?
I use HDFC Bank and my backup is a Kotak Mahindra. So because I have a bank account in HDFC Bank, they offered me a credit card. So if you have ICICI or SBI, SBI gives a lot of offers. Go for an SBI. I've always found SBI gives a lot of discounts and offers. So whenever you're going to buy an online purchase, I find a lot of SBI credit card benefits. See, ideally what you're using it for, credit card, for convenience, so that you don't have to carry cash. And then you get a credit limit also, credit because you can pay it after a month or so. Ideally, you're paying because you have money. So it's convenience actually. That is the number one I use credit card for. Rest reward points and other things are secondary. It's a very convenient thing. And now of course you have got the mobile also, you can pay. There are some places mobile, it may not be useful. Credit card. I try and use credit card a lot. And I pay every month. So in fact, the month begins, I pay my credit card. I have to pay by 5th or 6th, but I paid by 1st or 2nd. I don't keep it. The moment the month begins, I pay off my credit card bills. Yeah. Any other questions, or we'll move on?
Yeah, thank you, Anna.
This is Beulah.
Yes.
So when we save for payments or anything expenses, save for income is 100%. How far we can spend money for spare the money for EMIs or payments or expenses? How far we can, out of this 100, how much percentage we can spend on?
Yeah, actually, I will actually share with you a chart towards the end, and I will also share it with you all, post it to you all. So there's a percentage. See, ideally, it begins with your giving, right? So when you give, A lot of us give 10, but I think 10, the old Israelites gave more than, they gave 24%. So of their tithe. So 10-15% if you are giving, okay, some equal amount you can invest, save or invest. For example, 15% you give, 10% you invest. So how much is it? That is 25%. So your 75% will go on spending. Okay, so you can slowly increase your giving, increase your investments as you go along, and your spending will go down gradually. I'll come to that. I'll share with you a chart. Okay, and if I don't find time, I will post it. So this is the way you begin. You first, when you get your salary, you keep aside 10 or 15 or percent, right? You just keep aside. Then you keep aside money for investing. Keep that aside. So what is remaining, you will spend. So it could be 60%, it could be 70%, it could be 75%, whatever. Right? Yeah.
And I have one question, Anna.
Yeah.
I'm Srikanth.
Yes, Srikanth.
Now, as you told, you have to repay loans as quick as possible. For example, house loan, Anna, people used to say first 5 years or 6 years, most of the EMI we pay, it will go as interest. So, as in your case, 6 years is very good achievement. Suppose you are unable to pay in 6 or 7 years, later on interest will come down, principal amount only, more will be cutting will be there. In that case, is it good to pay more amount towards EMI or somewhere else to invest? Which is the best?
Yeah, it's not that easy. In your question, there are a lot of answers to that, but I'll tell you simple because of want of time. Prepay your loan as far as possible on the earlier years. As you rightly said, interest is high. So if you prepay your loan, your interest will obviously come down. Later on, the interest goes down, the principal goes up. So there are sometimes benefits of prolonging the loan because you may get some tax benefits, right? So there are some calculations. So the number one thumb rule is that prepay your loan earlier years. If not possible, increase your EMI. So what happens is you reduce your interest on your loan. Second is, when you say there are certain benefits, right? There are some tax benefits and all. But you know something? The sooner you pay, it gets off your head. The property becomes yours. You are debt free. For example, if you lose your job, and these days people are losing jobs, and what about 3 or 6 months you are without your job, right? What if you had your loan and you thought, I'll prolong that loan, but you lost your job, or you have difficulties, pandemic came or something, your salary goes down, or you don't. There are a lot of problems. So debt, it is best to pay off as early as possible. Okay, we'll move on to the next one now. We can again take some more questions later. Okay, saving, this is important. Pay attention as much as possible. And the giving part, I have a very brief, because we often hear on giving, so I thought I could spend more on this. Savings and investments. Now quick, okay, I'll be happy if you quickly answer. Setting aside money and saving for the future is not right. It shows lack of faith in God. You can unmute and tell me also, no problem.
No.
No, okay. Anybody else?
False.
False. Okay.
False.
Right. False. Okay, you're right. Savings and investments are not the same. They are often used interchangeably. What do you think? True or false? No,
True.
right.
They're not same.
True. Okay. Anybody
True.
else? True. So everybody's following Sangeeta, right? That is Sangeeta answering. Investments in stock market and mutual funds are good investment options for believers. What do you say?
True.
High risk, no.
Okay. Anybody else? Okay, we'll see that as we go along. Okay. Believers should exercise faith and invest, not think too much about investment options. What do you think? True or false?
False.
Okay. Everybody agrees? False? True? Very careful. This EGF is very careful. Not both are required. Okay. Okay. Life insurance are not for believers. It shows lack of faith in God's provision. What do you say?
No.
False.
Oh, seems like you have life insurance policies, huh? Okay. We should keep aside money and invest to use it for unexpected hospitalization and other expenses.
Yes.
Okay, we'll come to this true or false later. Okay, thank you. So so a lot of us have questions like these, right? Where do I save and invest where I can earn the best returns without much risk? Where do I save for my children's education? Will I be able to afford? Will I have enough for my retirement? Am I saving enough? Right? These are questions that a lot of us have. Is it okay to invest in mutual fund stock markets? Right? But there are other questions we don't ask generally. Where do I get money in emergency? A lot of us think about loans. What will happen if the breadwinner of the home gets a home calling? In pandemic it happened, right? Unexpected. What happens if one of us is hospitalized and we get a huge hospital bill? It happened during pandemic, right? So let's see what is the purpose of savings. Now we'll talk about things. Why we save. I wish we could have had a interactive, but we don't have time. Would you save if there was no future? Absolutely not. We save because there is a future. Why is the ant going and storing the provisions in summer? Because there is a future, and in that future there will be something unexpected, right? The Bible says the wise store up choice food and olive oil, but fools gulp theirs down, right? The rich people those days, careful people, would actually store for the future, right? And an English translation, the wise man saves for the future, but the foolish man spends whatever he gets, right? So very important that you save. We had a neighbor in Bombay many years ago. So the moment they get their salary, the first 15 days they will make merry, enjoy, get a lot of non-vegetarian and a lot of things. And after 15 days, they'll come to our home for asking for money. They'll come take loans because they would have already spent it. No budgeting, nothing. And then I hope believers are not like this. As believers, we should be saving for the future. There are some expenses that will come only in the future, right? In fact, non-monthly expenses are there, and plus there are other expenses. Now, what are some of the purposes for savings? There's an emergency, right? It can come. Children's education, higher education, right? Wedding expenses. Ideally, I don't want us to think about this. I just added it because there are people. It is better to spend than to take loans. I know there are Christians also who take loans and get married, which is bad, right? Wedding expenses. I actually had a simple wedding, so I would recommend that to all of you. Vacation, there are some purposes. Retirement, right? It could be all these purposes. Now we'll see what is the difference between savings and investments. So this will be a little bit practical and conceptual. Okay. So what happens in the savings? What happens in the investments? So in savings, the period is shorter, right? Because you have got to, the things that you will buy will be, for example, a mobile phone or washing machine. You are saving that. It's less than 1 or 2 years. Investments is longer, more than 2 years, 5, 10, 15 years and all that. Children education, retirement and other financial goals. What about in liquidity in savings? High liquidity. Liquidity means you can immediately get your money. For example, your cash. Cash in your home is very liquid, or in your bank. Just take an ATM and you withdraw it. Even other savings account or even FD, you can break the FD, right? The liquidity is high, and a lot of times you can withdraw it without any penalty. Even there are liquid funds. We'll talk about it. Liquid funds. They are mutual funds category. where you can save your money, park your money for 10, 15, 20, 1 month, whatever, 15 days, 1 month, and it will give you better interest than savings account or FD also. Now investments, the liquidity is, yeah. So here there's a penalty. Okay, the liquidity is low, penalty for withdrawing quickly, and it takes time to liquidate. For example, land. Can you liquidate if I want? If I have a land, a piece of land, can I sell a part of that land or full land and tomorrow I'll get the money? No. Stock markets also, or other things, they're all long term. What happens is there your money is, you cannot just, because markets go up and down, there are so many things happening, so you cannot immediately liquidate it. Risk. Now here if you see, the risk is low, volatility is low, they are fixed returns, for example bank deposits, no negative returns, a savings account or FD in a reputed bank, the risk is very low. But investments, the risk is high. Are investments good? We'll see the next slide. Here the volatility is very high. There could be negative returns also, as I think Sangeeta or somebody said, high risk, you can lose your money. Yes. Returns, savings are low. Wherever there is high risk, there will be high returns. Low risk, always low returns. Correct? Returns will be low, very low, 4 to 8%. Savings, FD. But land, stocks and all that will give you high returns, 12%. No upper limits, it could be high. You won't even, double, triple also it can happen. Okay, so that is the difference, basic difference between. Now the question here, and I think this is a very important slide also, what is the, why we invest? Is savings not enough? Correct? Is savings not enough? Now I want to share with you a slide. Okay, can somebody tell me what did you understand from this? That orange line is the fixed deposit rate, the green is the inflation, and the blue is the actual rate of return. What is that? What did you understand? Anybody? Nobody understood? Okay.
Inflation is high, then the, what we can say, the real return is low.
Opposite to it.
See, we actually keep our money in the banks thinking that, oh, money is growing, but most often it is not growing, it is same because of inflation. So the money, 1 rupee which you have today, the value, after 10 years, the value of that 1 rupee would have gone down, maybe 70, 80 paisa or 50 paisa also. That's why we keep the money in banks, so that we will match with the inflation. So savings will always give you as much as inflation. Most of the times. A lot of times our money is eroding. We are keeping it in savings bank or FD, it is eroding. It is actually gone down. If today the education, for example, your child, if you have to pay 5 lakh and you have a 5 lakh now with you, because of inflation, the education may become 15 lakhs after 10-15 years, and your money would have become only 10 lakhs. So you've actually lost money and the world has gone ahead. So savings is never enough, always. So you have to invest, and that's where, and I'll say, what do we mean by, so inflation is eating into your savings. Interest rate is 4 to 8%. Inflation is also that. What are you getting? So your real returns could be low or nil or sometimes negative. In this case, in 2009, it was negative. Only long-term investments will give you higher returns over a long period of time. Investments in higher risk instruments will help beat inflation and earn real return. So your children education, retirement, and many years in the future where higher returns are possible, and only if you invest in a stock market, only if you invest in mutual funds, only if you invest in higher risk instruments, you will be able to beat inflation. Now, is it right to invest in stock market, mutual funds? Yes. As I said, only in that you will get returns which are higher than your than what you have, your inflation. But the only catch is, the problem with people is that stock markets and mutual funds have got a bad name and a bad image because people use especially stock markets for gambling, for trading. They want to invest and after 15 days remove their money, after 1 month, after 2 months. No. Stock markets, mutual funds are for the long haul. Minimum 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years. I've been investing in mutual funds for many years now. Of course, systematically I started at the beginning of this decade, but earlier also I was investing. So it's a long term for when you invest, and that is where you get returns. And it is investing in stock markets. In what are you investing? You are investing in the companies of the future. Infosys, how Infosys has grown over. Is it bad to invest in Infosys? Infosys is, or TCS, they are actually making money through software export. And all these other companies, in fact, our country is growing and foreigners are investing because our country, it is growing, the GDP is growing, the returns are good, and that is where your money is growing. But Infosys, you don't invest so that you can remove it in the next 5 months. No. You believe in Infosys, that Infosys will do well in the next 5, 10, 15, 20 years. Those who invested in Infosys when it began, who trusted Infosys, even the driver is a crorepati, correct? Because they got shares. So it is not wrong. In fact, invest in, we can't go too much into details. If you want to go into little more details, you can come on the session on February 13th and maybe share a little more. So it is good. So you can invest. Okay. So mutual funds are good, stock markets are good, but I would recommend never go directly and invest in stock market because you do not know. The best investment option for all of us, for long-term investors, 5, 10, 15, 20 years, mutual funds are the best. They are extremely good. I was working for a mutual fund in Bombay. So there was a tax saving mutual fund. It was in 96. And when I was working there in 2000, 99, 2000, it had become 150. 10 had become 150. That means 10,000 would have become 1,50,000. Right? So you see, and because over a long period it gives you, it is not for short term, over a long period, and then only you can meet your financial goals. So let's move on. I'll try and share whatever details maybe in the question answers, but right now we'll just move on. Another thing is very important, and that's where the mutual fund investments come into picture. Wealth gained hastily will dwindle, but whoever gathers little by little will increase it. A faithful man will abound with blessings, but he who makes haste to be rich will not go unpunished. Problem is, a lot of us, and some of us actually try to, which is the get rich schemes. No, not at all. That is where people do use stock market. They want to come out in 6 months and make money. No, that is greediness. If you are investing in mutual funds, there is something called SIP. I won't talk it now here, but that is systematic investment plan, where actually you can invest regularly and consistently. Set aside every month a fixed amount and invest. Very, 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 very important. This cannot be underestimated. Setting aside a month, every month a fixed amount, right? Give a fixed amount, invest a fixed amount. Now, benefits of systematic and long-term investments. It brings a discipline when you invest small amounts regularly, right? You know, I never withdrew from the PF. Last 28 years I have worked, and PF is when your money gets deducted, right, regularly. You don't have a control over it, but over a period of time, when you see it has actually grown, it's a discipline. But if you can do it yourself, how great! And when you invest regularly, you enjoy the power of compounding, the interest on principal and interest on interest. It's amazing. I don't have examples to show because of lack of time. Probably I'll show it when I have the next session. The compounding is really wonderful. As I think Einstein had said, it is the eighth wonder of the world. It's amazing. It's amazing. Advantages of rupee cost averaging. That means when you're regularly saving, especially in mutual funds, using an SIP, where the markets go up, down, you are not worried. You just keep putting same money, 5,000, you can invest even 500 also in mutual funds every month. 500, 1,000 every month. Markets go up and down, doesn't matter. When the market goes down, it is good for you. You earn more units. And when the market goes up, your money goes up. It's extremely beautiful. Systematic long-term investment. Please commit to do it. Like your quiet time. You know, quiet time also, those who consistently every day do, they grow in the Lord. Once in a while, if you do, and go for conferences and camps for your feeding, you're not growing. Just you get some shock treatment. Same way with your money. In fact, start early, there is a cost for the delay. Start early, there's a cost for the delay, and I'm going to show you the cost now. Pay attention. If you're doing anything else, eating your food or whatever, stop that. Just pay attention now. Let's assume you are 30 years old and you want to invest every year. For example, let's take 1 lakh. I think 1 lakh was okay, right? Maybe less than 10,000. Okay. What will be your age till up to what you'll investing? Maybe 60. Okay. And if you invest long term in mutual funds or other bonds and all, you may get 8 to 12%. So let's keep it 10%. Okay. Average. Ideally, you can earn even 11%. Let's keep it 11, because if you invest in mutual funds and all, at least you get 12%. So let's keep it around 11%. Amount you could expect to have at the age of, it is 2 crore. Okay. This is regularly investing, including compounding. Okay. If your age is 30. Now, if you are indisciplined and you delay your investment by 5 years, okay, only 5 years. That means from 30 to 60 is 30 years. 5 years you delay means you're going to invest for 25 years. No problem. You know how much money you could lose by delay? Any guesses? Anybody wants to take a guess? 50%. Okay. Somebody has said you may lose 50%. Okay. Just remember, only 5 years delay. We'll see what happens here. 1 year delay, you're losing 10%. Just imagine, you start, instead of 30, you enjoy 1 year, you lost 10%. Money wise, how much you would have lost? Only 1 lakh investing, your cost, but you would have lost 22 lakhs just by delaying 1 lakh. 2 years, 43 lakhs. 3 years, 28%. See, 4 years. 5 years delay, you are losing 42%. You're losing around 1 crore just by delaying. And if you are younger in age, more the problem, more the delay, more the loss. See this, how much you are losing. So friends, don't delay, don't delay, don't delay. Do it as early as possible. I am regretting Of course, not that I have not become rich or anything, but more you have wealth, more you can give, right? It is not just about investing. We are also giving for the ministry. So many times we have deficits. Just imagine if most of the EGF had invested and earned more. Where would you give? You would give it to the Lord only, no? Okay. Now another very important thing. Don't put all eggs in one basket. What happens? If these eggs fall, this basket falls, all eggs are gone, right? So what if you had all your money in property and land plans? I know I've talked to believers, even EGF, where they invest in land only. What if it was something like Amaravati? Hmm? You would have lost, no? Because the capital is changing. So we don't know. What if you had all your money in the bank, FD, and it was like what is it, Punjab and Maharashtra Bank or whatever? What happens? No, you are in danger. So never. You need asset allocation, distributing your savings and investments in different investment options. Example, bank FD, mutual funds, land, gold, bonds. That is good. And asset allocation is done to reduce risk. Okay, you're diversifying. Now, how much you have to invest in all, that is individuals, and that we need a workshop to find out what is your age, what is your risk appetite, what are your financial goals, right? When will be your retirement, and all that is there. So that we can't discuss today. This is an example of asset allocation. 45% in equity, which means equity mutual funds or stock market. Debt, real estate, gold, cash. There is a thumb rule. What the thumb rule is, your 100 minus your age, you should put in equity, because this is long term, right? Remember, this is long term, 45%. For 10, 15, 20 years, you're investing in mutual fund. It is high risk, but then over a long period of time, the risk goes down and returns go up, right? So most of your money should go into. So if you are 30 years, that means 70% of your income should go into this. Your of your investments should go into this. 70% of your investment should go into this. Then it should, it is just a rough. So this is asset allocation. Just see your own investments. Where are you? Make a graph like this. Now we move on to 3 important things to consider while saving or investment. Wherever you are investing, in a bank or a company or a stock market or mutual funds or PPF or whatever, is it safe? By the way, mutual funds, I worked in a mutual fund. They are one of the safest places to invest. Safest. Because they are regulated by SEBI. And the regulation is so strict that if a mutual fund does any wrong, even by mistake, even if a mistake they make, not deliberate, mistake, they are fined huge fines, crores of rupees they are fined. So they cannot afford to even make mistakes. Very reputed. Liquidity, you have to see, right? For example, bank FD or liquid funds. Liquid funds are like sorry, like FDs. So wherever you invest, even mutual funds are also very liquid. You invest 10 lakh, if you want 1 lakh to remove it next day, you can do it. Very high liquid mutual funds. Or even FDs or see, PF is not liquid, right? It gets stuck for whatever 16 years or whatever. But it is still liquid. You can get your money, you can get loans and all. And returns, you have to see if you'll get money, returns, interest will you get. So these are the 3 things always to consider, always. And when you talk about asset allocation, ensure that how you distribute. But these 3 things are very important. Now, different types of savings and investment options and purposes. So types, right? Bank FD, liquid funds. And investments are PPF, mutual funds, stock, gold, land. These are the different types. What is the purpose? For all the, if you want to buy something in the next 6 months, 1 year, invest in savings. It could be bank FD, liquid. If you are for your children's education after 10 years, 15 years, or for your own retirement or for some financial goals. Okay, you can, in fact, if you're planning to buy a house, you need to pay down payment. Maybe you are planning to buy a house after 2 years, so you can invest here, right? Duration 1 to 2 years, 3 to 30 years, returns 4 to 8%. This is 9 to 15% returns you get, right? These cannot beat inflation. This can beat inflation, and this is where you will invest for your retirement, children education. You start now and you keep saving every month, right? What are the good, bad, and ugly investments? Good investment options: bank FDs, liquid funds, PPF, government, mutual fund, stock equities. Bad investment: chit funds. Never, 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 never invest in chit funds or unit linked insurance plans. Many of them have bought this. Even I have bought this, although I was in the industry. Many years ago, I've sold all of them. They are the worst investment. But all insurance company will sell you this. I don't have time to tell you how much money we are losing here. Now, this is the final thing about the investment part. Risk management. Right now, we talked about returns were there. There is risk. That is about risk and returns. This is about you managing your risk of your life or whatever happens in your life, and it is very important. Life insurance, term insurance. This is the only life insurance policy you must have. I just shared, right? ULIPs, unit linked insurance plans. They are bad, ugly. Never buy. The only insurance plan you buy is this life insurance. See how cheap they are. If your age is 30 years, right? A 50 lakh rupees. That means if anything happens to you, your family gets 50 lakh rupees. And see this is just a rough thing. Per month. Per annum, sorry. Annual premium. That's it. For ULIPs, they will offer you some 20 lakh cover or something, and they'll say some returns you will get. You'll be paying lakhs of rupees in a year. You know that? Just see how cheap they are. And these are the real insurance plans. For your car you have, right? For your vehicles, you have this insurance plan. And this is what we all need. Of course, there are some other benefits also you can see, but never go for anything. And this is not ungodly. This is not something which is, what do you say, that you're not trusting God. You trust God. You love your family. That's why you do it. Correct? Joseph did it, right? In the plenty years he saved. He actually insured for the future. Correct? Because I know families where, in fact, my wife, her father died when she was in 10th class. They didn't have money. And he had stopped paying the premium for his insurance. And those days they were all ULIPs. It was such a difficult time for them. Of course, God took care miraculously. Another thing is very important is the health insurance. We must have one health insurance plan for a family. It's generally a floater. A lot of companies give you, right? Most have one from the company they work for. But it is good to have an additional one also for two reasons. One is the cover increase. Like a lot of companies will have 2 or 3 lakh. But these days, sometimes, even for COVID and other things, 2 or 3 lakhs are not enough. Maybe have a little more. Increase cover. Plus, if you have a job loss, what do? That time, nobody will give you an insurance quickly. And if you have grown in age, 40, 45 years, difficult. It's very difficult to get a health insurance. You'll have to pay a lot of premium. You have to go for tests, health checkups. And after 40, you already have some ailments. So your insurance premium will go up the roof. So when you are young, have an insurance policy separately. 1 lakh, 2 lakh also, it's okay. You can increase the cover. Okay. Right? This is health insurance. Now coming to emergency fund, we talked about. Right? Set aside 3 to 6 months of your expenses for any emergency financial requirements. Very important. Why is an emergency fund required? A job loss, unexpected major house repairs, some wall, some paint fell down and some cracked and seepage and this and that. If it is your own house, right? Or some medical emergency, or your washing machine or something has conked off, right? Medical emergency, it is not covered in the health insurance, like dental. What do? Unplanned travel expenses, suddenly you have to travel, maybe book flights. What do? Right? Urgent vehicle repairs, anything that is not covered in your insurance, you should have an emergency fund. You should start building an emergency fund at the first thing. You should have an emergency fund, at least 3 to 6 months of expenses, right? Now we'll just quickly summarize the savings and investment summary. Buy a pure term insurance policy if you're married. If you're not married, it is fine, because your parents already have money, they have a corpus. And even if the Lord were to call you soon, it's fine. But when you're married, what happens is you have a family which is now dependent on you, correct? So you have to be careful. Buy a health insurance policy. Create an emergency fund. This is in the order. Invest regularly and consistently. FDs, recurring funds, or mutual funds. Don't delay. There's a cost for delay. Invest both for short and long term. Right? Savings and investment. Focus on asset allocation to distribute risk. 3 important things to consider in investing: safety, liquidity, and returns. Right? Okay, so that was about the summary. Now, an investment challenge for you all. If you're not saving regularly and consistently, today make a commitment to start this month. If you're not budgeting, do that budgeting, set aside. If you're saving regularly, make a commitment to increase by a small percentage of income. Try a new long-term investment option. We can't share everything. You can talk to me, write to me, or you can join the February 13th session. I may do a little more than what I've done today. You must, especially those who have not invested in like mutual funds, those who have not invest regularly, savings, not investing, you must do it. As good as your spiritual matters, right? Because this is God's money. Okay, somebody says would like to invest. Great, very good. I am very happy with you. Whoever said go take it as a challenge. Great. You need any help? Other than prayers, I can also help you. Don't worry. I want to see this happening in believers' lives. Okay.
My question is, what about LIC policies? We can take it into for children's education and marriage, and for the life insurances in LICs. Can we go with that or not?
That is what they are all ULIPs, which they child policy, right? Children and all. I also done it. They are all. I had invested for some 5-6 years. I got 3% returns. In one, I got 1% return after 6 years when I took out my money, because they cheated. It's all cheat. It's all they say, but actually speaking, you yourself, if you invest in mutual fund and have a term policy, it takes care. They will sell because they earn a lot of commission. So have one insurance policy, life insurance, which I shared, term insurance, it is called. Second is invest in mutual funds, SIPs, invest in PPF, NSC, bonds, FDs. That's it. Don't invest in any of these child plan or whatever. If you have invested, ensure that you make it paid up and you redeem it.
Yeah, thank you, Anna. One more question. Invest in IPOs in stock market for the long.
Yeah. If it's a good company, do read up. Find out about the company, read up, and IPOs you can invest. I invest in IPOs, I invest in stock market, but very less. So my regular investments goes into mutual funds, major, every month. I have SIPs. Every month it just goes through my account. That is my children education and whatever. I have one term insurance and the rest of them are SIPs. And my company had EPF. That's it. So I don't do into too many things. It's
Hello,
easy.
brother.
Yes.
Actually, is the term insurance, is there any chance to they can repay to our family after our death?
That
Means,
is what is the meaning of that. Term insurance is you're paying, for example, 7,000, it's a 10,000 per annum for 50 lakh, or if you can take a crore, whatever. Every month you pay. If anything happens to you, the entire money goes to the family.
okay, but is there any at that bank or company that they show some other reasons because of our health problem?
No,
Is
no,
there
no, no.
we can deny
Nothing.
that payment?
Nothing. Even some, I think in some, there may be somewhere, even if they commit suicide also you get it. In any circumstances, there is no circumstances, whatever you you didn't take care of a health or whatever, nothing, there is no reason. You died, your family gets it. Of course, they will ensure that, it is not that you took the insurance policy and after a month you kill yourself because your family will, you have to be careful. But otherwise, for all practical purposes, they give.
Actually, last year I just tried to take that, but they told that they check medical things, and maybe based on that there might be chance that they will reject later point. That's why I just
No. See, what they will do is, that's why you take it young. So what they will do is, they will do a health checkup. Of course, if you have cancer, for example, obviously they know that you will die very soon. They will not give. For terminal illnesses or not, they'll give. But if you have got other like high blood pressure, diabetes, or whatever, some of these ailments, no problem.
But if they know that I have cancer, will they just
No.
don't cover the policy, or
They
will
don't
they?
give you a policy. They won't give you a
Okay.
policy.
Right, then that is fine. Actually, I thought based on that they will later deny the repayment.
No. They'll not give you the policy. See,
Okay.
they have a probability. Okay, they use statistics that
Okay.
people who take policies, how many of them will actually die of accidents or illness. After you have taken,
Okay.
when you get cancer, no problem.
Okay.
They will give. So that is why it is an insurance, right? Why are you taking the insurance that if I lose my life tomorrow or day after or in this month or 1 year, where will my family go? That's what. And that's why they have till retirement, 30 years or whatever. After you retire, you have already made money, right? You have money and your children have already gone. So whatever your wife, if you die, if your wife needs it, it's already collected, right? You've already saved and invested. So that is the idea. So you will always have, for example, if you have taken a loan of, for example, 20 lakhs, right? So ideally what you will do is you'll take an insurance, at least 20 lakhs you will take. Because if anything happens to me, at least the house will be there, correct? Or generally people take 20 lakhs plus a little more, so that house plus regular income expenses, at least my family will be able to sustain for a few years or whatever. So that is the idea. Of course, our hope is in God. We trust God even when we do the insurance, right? We trust the Lord. But we do it out of a love for our family, so that they don't get into unnecessary difficulties. Okay.
Thank you.
Hello, Anna.
Yes.
So you're talking about the mutual funds and SIPs, and which bank is preferred, ICICI, HDFC, or Axis? Which one is the most accessibility?
See, all these mutual funds are good. They are safe. Okay, in terms of reputation and all of them. They cannot become a mutual fund if they do not have enough money to back them. Okay, they have to have crores of net worth. Then only they can have a mutual fund. That is number one. Number two, you don't go by the names, but you go by the returns. So if there are websites like moneycontrol.com, Cafe Mutual, and mutualfundsindia.com, or there are various websites. So even Paytm also has a, if you find out, you go there, they'll list out all the good funds. So you invest in the fund which is doing well. Ideally, you should look for a financial advisor who can help you. There are a lot of financial advisors who don't take money because they get money for the money that you have invested, so they don't charge you. You can take their help also. So I would suggest that you find out a good financial advisor who you can trust. It could be anything. It could be Axis, it could be CanBank, it could be HDFC, it could be SBI. Like my investments are in various mutual funds. They are all based on the returns. I know you don't know much about mutual funds. You'll have to find out. You'll have to wait. Take help. But it is not all the mutual funds are good. It is their schemes. You have to see whether they are performing or not.
Anna, before the two questions, Anna, I have a small question.
Yeah, sure.
Anna, is LIC Jeevan Umang and Jeevan Lakshya, these are comes under ULIP or?
They are most probably, I can guarantee they are ULIPs.
Oh, okay. And another question is, shall we utilize the car lease option from office, Anna, because they're going to take care of maintenance and all?
Correct.
Because it's a depreciation.
It's a good option. Yeah, it's a good option. I had the money with me, so I took a car lease simply because I got tax breaks. I saved money because of that. So that in that case you can take it, but again, ensure that you have enough money that, for example, you change the company or you lose your job, whatever, anything can happen. Ensure that you have enough money to buy that car.
Is it okay?
That is important. But going on lease is not a bad idea. It's a good idea.
Thank you, Anna.
Yeah. So this is one thing which I can share. What percentage of your salary you give, depending on the need and how much. Need is very important. With so much need around, 10% is less. Increase your percentage. Gradually keep increasing the percentage. God gives you prosperity. And have an emergency giving fund. Okay, I will not get into too details, but okay, I will close with this. There was a giving challenge also, but I will not. Okay, so this is very important. A simple living cycle for every stage of your life. Simple living, very important. You can give more, you spend less, and you have enough savings. Right? This is very important. Godliness with contentment is great gain. Leading a simple life is aim for simple living. Your giving will go up, your spending will go down, and your savings will be just enough for this side of eternity. Increase your giving and savings and decrease your spending percentage. This is a chart I'll send you. You go through this. This is about a person who gets a monthly salary of 30,000 at the age of 25, and how the age increases, the salary increases, right? The giving also increases, but the best part is the giving percentage increases. From 16 it goes up to 27%. Your savings from 14 it goes to 24%, and your spending, when you are young, your spending is high because of your EMI and other things, but as you grow, the spending money has gone up. If you see, it is still high, but your percentage has gone down, right? It is going up in terms of money, but in percentage terms it is going down. How wonderful, right? This should be our goal. This should be our goal, that every few years you increase your percentage. 10% is a very low percentage in our times, especially for people who are working in corporates. Yes, staff workers and all, I have no comments. For them, even 10% could be a challenge. And there is no 10% and all that percent was in the Old Testament. For us, it's grace. We can give as much as we can. With this I'll end. Randy Alcorn in his Treasure Principle book. This is a very good book. If you can have it, buy it. If you can buy this book, just buy it. It's a beautiful book. It talks about a dot and line. Okay. So this is what I am asking now. Where would you invest more, in time or eternity? He talks about a dot. And he talks about a line. The dot is when we are living in time. The line is the eternity. Where will you give more in eternity? So this is where we invest, and this is where we give. When you give, you are investing in eternity. I wish I could talk a lot about giving maybe, but we can do it next time. Anyway, I had thought of only spending little time. So let your investments in eternity exceed your investments in time. I have done that practically. We have increased the percentage of giving. And what I've shared is something that we have tried. We are doing it, and praise God. God gives it. He's the ultimate giver, right? Again, if you want to get more, I'll have a little more details in this session. Maybe we'll also talk about giving there. Okay, that's it from me. Thank you so much.